be that dominant force here. The 6th seed of Plano West, they'll be looking to cause an upset in many ways, but coming into this, like you said, completely similar comps, standard comps, mirror comps, I guess you could say. And the big thing to note here, I think, is going to be what both of these teams do to innovate with them.
Yeah.
What exactly it is that they can get out of the utility that they have. They'll be very much aware that there are shared strengths and weaknesses across the board. It's just going to be how they approach it stylistically and look to mitigate that.
Something that we're seeing here has something we've seen many, many times. A turret to watch in towards B main, the KJ looking in tiles, and I believe that is the Jet and KO that will be approaching mid. That's how Hebron want to approach this. Nice. I always like to see that mid section of the map at least have some sort of presence, some sort of prod towards it. Now, it's only going to be the solo Omen watching that from the side of Plano.
Yeah, that's the way that it seems to be shaping up right now. I believe that we're at a brief intermission for a technical issue, which obviously is far from ideal, especially when the series is not underway just yet. But yeah, I think in terms of the setup that we're seeing here from the teams, a fairly defaulty one, sort of leaning more in towards that A stack on the pistol, where usually you would see Killjoy being your B anchor. And I think this is something that you've got to be aware of a lot of the time, right? Making sure that you have those flexible setups, that you can go for something a little different on a pistol round where teams might just try and bombard you instantly. So we are just going to be going back to the cams for a moment, which means I have to sit back down and get myself into position so that it's not like my midriff sort of directly in line with the camera. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this. It's so difficult right now, I think, for us on the desk to actually pinpoint what the biggest thing is going to be here, because you have two teams playing the most default map with the most default comp. The only thing that we can really pull away from it as it stands is the fact that one of them is coming into this with a much stronger record and the other one is sort of maybe seeded a little lower. But, you know, even then, with how that matches up, we saw a game yesterday, a team in 3rd seed versus a team in, I want to say, 7th seed, and that looked fairly equal, except for like a few discrepancies on that first map.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not only that, I mean, you're trying to, I guess, somehow find out information from how the teams are kind of standing before those barriers have dropped. It's hard to do so as well. So, you know what, I guess we can maybe think about Split. That's the next map up in the pool for this series. Is there anything that straight away maybe signals towards you with how that could maybe go?
I think Split's a really interesting one, especially for the best of 3, as we should be going back into game in just a moment, but I'll wrap up the point, is that it's an incredibly defender-sided map, or at least it sometimes can be, depending on how exactly it is you play it. Yesterday, we had a 6-6 half into a level standing in an overtime, so look, perhaps anything can happen, and both of these teams already setting up. A lot of heavy mid-pressure with the Spike isolated in A main. We'll see if this becomes an issue as the execute comes through.
Yeah, going very, very quick and well using short as a method of entering in towards the site. The Spike not quite making its way out just yet. That KJ will be watching the flank and perhaps going to get 1 or 2, but it's Kite to get 3. Out on towards the site, the players fall. It's all falling apart. Has one player left, and it was meant to be that player who was watching the flank, but they'll be watching all their comrades go back to the spawn.
Yeah, I mean, over in a flash. Really, really big round out of Kite. Flying high already, I guess, is the very easy one to make the low-hanging fruit. But yeah, just a simple shutdown, and it's something that Plano West were very prepared for. Whether they've had any kind of an idea coming into this as to how everyone like to play or not, if there's any kind of anti, we can't necessarily discern that. But yeah, just flexing the setup, like I mentioned. It seems like we have a bit of a mixed Killjoy util here, with them playing for market, turret on towards B, alarm bot on A short. So just spreading their options right now, at least in terms of this defense.
I'm waiting for maybe, I guess, a set play or a little bit of aggression from Plano, but nothing's coming that way. Hebron obviously on the lesser weaponry of the two teams, and I'm wondering if they're waiting to see if Plano get curious here, Hazza?
Yeah, they're playing this a lot slower, much more defaulty round, which in many ways is a little surprising that we didn't see this on the pistol.
Yeah.
A lot of teams going into their pistol round, attacker side, have been getting a lot of value out of going for a default pistol rather than some kind of set strat, simply because it gives you a lot more options on a round which teams can consider has a bigger random element that can fall into it. I think it's fair to say, at least in terms of how it works, the restricted utility as well, making sure you're baiting it out from the defender's side, and perhaps the notion is held similar here up against the anti-eco. The only issue is they haven't dealt with any of that utility. It'll all be up by the time they head in.
Oh, it's been lovely patience from Plano. It's paid out in dividends. Players not moved much away. Exit will be able to get one more, but the problem is there's more players close by, and they're all trying to close in on Neom, and they do so. Nice 2-0. And again, it's that discipline from Plano not to move off of what was already a decent kind of setup from them.
Yeah. And I was saying just for a moment there that one of the issues you would have with executing so late when all of the utility is going to be there would be exactly that, utility. But it was really surplus to requirements there, not even having any kind of bearing on how the round played out, quite simply. Hebron didn't really have anything to engage with himself. The recon, or 0 point, I guess, just not doing too much. So going into this bonus, Plano were flirting with the idea of including an operator, but have decided not to. Instead, they post the judge up in towards Wine. Early contact being taken on this A, and yeah, it's just that heavy lean yet again. This time the Killjoy util plugging the gaps on the B, where it looks like Hebron are going to be making a second attempt.
Well, the gamble won't quite work out, or maybe I'm wondering here with that smoke going down, do Hebron bite down on this trap plate? Nope, they go straight in towards the B site. And yeah, it's going to get that completely for free. This post plant should be pretty successful, or should be the most efficiency it should be at, considering there's nothing there to contest despite going down.
Yeah, it seems as if the setup very much was playing heavily for the A in towards the retake on B. That's some of the utility already taken offline from the Killjoy. The contact now missing. The players in main perhaps forced to engage. There's a flank coming back around the other way from Kite. A very pivotal one that Hebron pick up here, and from being sat inside B, it's dangerous that they lose at least a few of these weapons.
It's not only that, though, they're playing at close range where these Spectres come up to best. Trump these rifles. Phantom moving in towards the back side and pulls out the frenzy. Is it ideal? Is it really a good idea? Well, I mean, at this point in time, it certainly is not. All the players have been taken away, but I mean, that was the majority of rifles lost for Hebron.
Yeah, it's usually the 3/5 rule, I like to say. If you're keeping the majority of your weapons ever so slightly, there's always a decent chance that the reinvestment's going to look good. For them here, that is completely the contrary. You're going to be getting 3 rifles on the board, 4 even, I guess you could say. But even with the light by here, you can see that Exeth is... I was going to say wasn't going to have enough, but someone's actually managed to find a way to drop them. So, look, I'm just going to eat my words. They have the full set of rifles. There is some economy damage dealt, though, and Plano will be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it's not only that. Now, if we see Plano come through, win this rifle, they could decimate what Hebron have in terms of a buy. As the players all start to come through, the baby somehow gets away with murder, and it's just continuing to be murder. No real response there from Hebron. Only one in returning. I mean, that's going to be a big round for the defending side.
This map does have that slight defender bias, as most do. But Plano getting off to an incredibly good start, doing a bit of damage already on the bonus like we said, and now just putting it a little too far adrift for us to see this Hebron reinvestment. And I think that while I was trying to make a point about it being an issue in the previous, you can see that extrapolated a little bit further here. A couple of players on 1,900 credits or whatever, when you have Fried at the top and a couple in the mid of that team, that really could have gone for a light buy here if they had held on to those weapons previous.
Priority towards mid for the attacking side, as none of the lanes on the outside really touched, and that's where the majority of the play is. Although the KG, this is isolated fights as the spam comes through. Nothing picked up on. The players completely taking market, and Phantom, oh my god, a boatload of damage. But do the players sink? Well, it certainly seems if the attackers are, as now the rifles come alive. They've somehow managed to pick up Phantom, but look at this, all the players disconnected completely, and that's where the rifles are going to be able to do more work. But we've been brought to a 2v2, Hazza.
Yeah, lots of solo fights being taken. You saw Bulgogi there trying to bail out their friend Phantom and keep them alive a little longer. Fried just trying to anchor from stairs here, play the angle, but gets caught out by the Phantom. All it required was a shot to the shoulder, and that's enough to drop them. Spike in the hands of Exith has enough time to pivot towards the A site, but the real issue here is the fact that they have barely any information. Really wants to try and find that first initial pick to bring this to a 1v1 before setting their sights on anywhere else, and this is just going to have their hand forced. It does have to be B.
Waiting on that time has cost them. At least the Omen's low, but now that makes them low because of that engagement. And yep, Kite walks in with open arms, not before costing their team a lot of economy. They'll have to reinvest a lot into this next one.
Yeah, they certainly will, but I don't think this is going to be too bad for Plano. They won't be left shortchanged. There's still credits in the reserves. You see, Kite has more than enough for an operator at this point in time, and with them sort of wagering that idea in round 3, the bonus, and then sort of thinking against it, which was realistically the better idea. It'll be interesting to see if they do choose to actually bring that into part of their, work that into their defensive side sooner rather than later. But I mean, for now, everything's alright. As long as you keep getting those rounds on the board, you're going to be doing just fine.
Oh, Exith. They don't know the trap that you're walking into, and this is the Omen player as well. Really disappointed with that one, it has to be said.
Yeah, it's not the first time that we've seen them take that A fight solo, and this is also not the first time we've seen Hebron challenge in towards mid. Varying levels of success, and this time it is definitely not one that you want to watch back. Damage dealt, the turret already starting to chip away at Churstick, the owner of it, then continuing to do so, and now it's just going to be a little too much. I would love to get a translation of what the Omen's name is from Korean, because for now it's just going to be Korean characters, if we can't find out what that exactly is.
Korean characters. I think just now Hebron are finding themselves in some sort of a, I don't even know, a Korean kind of show or whatever, with the way that they're having to fight back in towards this one. It's a real underdog story.
A K-drama, did you mean?
A K-drama,
a Korean show.
Korean show. Sorry, I'm not too like wised up on the full shebang. But this is tough. This is already looking like a like it's going to be a tough battle. It's the fact that there's like, for instance, solo fights, etc. At least the good thing is here, Mania's actually got a really good entry here, cleared out majority of the site.
Yeah, the big thing for me on this round is that both teams have the majority of their ults up. The only difference is the null command, which Plano currently aren't able to enjoy, but the baby should be bringing it online with that kill, or at least they're one away at this point in time. Came into the round 6 and 8. And it's how these are going to get used by Hebron to really confirm the round, because it was a sort of stinger Bladestorm buy, which could still deliver the result.
The result surely could, I mean, it will be converted. The chances are pretty decent, but that chance may have been fleeting. As we now see the players come through with a lovely sweep. One spray of the Phantom, but is there enough time, Hazza?
Yeah, there is. It's unfortunate, really, here for Hebron. I was just about, like, as I put it, you have ultimates to play with on a round like that with a numbers advantage. Time, realistically, on your side. You see it there. It's a fraction of a second is what is all that there is left in it. You might as well gamble something, right? Like, go for a null command, slow the pace down a little bit, don't let any kind of utility come back through. I mean, I'm saying this, I don't think the util usage from either of these teams has been, you know, particularly top tier or necessarily round defining when you actually look at the duels that are being won. Like, I have Exith in there in Spawn, for example, who can just play Spoiler and buy a little bit more time instead of going for that more aggressive peak. Players could perhaps, you know, sit towards Boathouse. Time not being played, and if you're not going to do that here, then Hebron should continue to struggle.
a bit of Route 1 Valorant. It seems as if it has just been whatever site that the attackers have set their eyes on is what they've went for, and this time they've actually put both hands on it, gained control. They now move on towards it, but it's the two big picks that really put them in the front foot, the driving seat for this round.
I believe this round, a 3v5, just as what we saw in the previous, sort of an immediate kill coming out from Mikeo was the reason why it was a little different. This is the full gun round though, so you fully expect this one to be a lot stronger. And Exith already has found that first kill to debate it. Another multi-kill coming out from DRX, looking for a little more, find the third, in for the ace. Can he channel the inner RB? Not going to happen. Fried shuts it down.
Did you just call the Omen DRX?
Yes, I did.
Fair enough. Do you know what? I liked it, and I liked that round, but I guess it really depended on the entries there off the back of getting in towards this. Hazza, and not only that, the response from Plano, I guess, the first couple engagements, a little bit disjointed.
Yeah, you can still see that they definitely have that quality in the gunfights. It's just about setting themselves up a little better for them. Like, thinking back to the previous round, the nice set play that you... Or not set play. The crossfire you have established, the contact play in A main towards Wine. It's just more similar stuff like that we need to see come out as Kite is trying to get something done with the blades, can't quite find it, and will be forced to just move off of this one.
Well, it seems as if Hebron are moving towards the A, but it's this Omen that's moving through mid that I'm most worried about. Obviously, need your smokes, that paranoia, massive bit of utility, but it's still just lurking.
Yeah, I find it interesting that Phantom is still holding on to market here when you have the alarm bot, you've got two players positioned main to then make this A defense a lot weaker. Because Kite was on the Blade Storm, only has the Bucky smoke in, kill out. Just like that. Exit finds a couple for themselves, and this will, for the time being, give them the man advantage. The solo blade will not be enough. Fried finds another, and it's a total freebie.
Guess you could use the lockdown and invest it if you really wanted to. Hunter's Fury's there, though. A Fury of their own, unfortunately. The Omen not quite finding what they needed to. 1 versus 4. The Hebron train seems to keep rolling, Hazza. That's now at 2 on the bounce. And puts them in a really good spot. Plano's economy slowly wasting away. And Hebron still got a lot of ultimates.
Yeah, Hebron haven't really needed to invest any of these. I mean, neither of these teams have been too willing to use anything, right? Like, they are incredibly shrewd when it comes to this ultimate investment. But with the players setting up for what looks to be a hard B exec, I wouldn't be surprised if you have either the null command or the lockdown just sort of immediately pop out here. The main thing for me, like I said, is making sure that Plano are getting the most of these on the rounds that they have left with weapons.
Well, that 0.9 will have detected at least 3, I'd imagine, or probably all 5, and we can see that just by the what's going on the players. I don't even know what you call that, a symbol on the players. But they're still wanting to continue here, especially after the null command's being used, waiting it out, spamming through the smoke. Nothing paying out as of yet. And you look towards the other state of the map, Hazard. You've got the jet slowly making us more and more claustrophobic.
Yeah, we see here both of those ults hopped in conjunction with one another as we're seeing Hebron try and make their way through. You had that initial ult come through from the Bebe, who now gets taken out backside. And that will be the difference between the two teams right now. Hebron have brought it to post, Hunter's Fury coming in, and now this is a round which both teams want to fight tooth and nail for. The ultimate investment is huge. Whoever walks away with this one not only is going to have credits for the next as a guarantee, but has that monopoly in what the ult game looks to be right now, and Exit's position is everything.
Oh, Exit has got a big one. Now the two players just need to play together, although there was a chance. And, 6-4 Hebron now, keeping on this momentum train. Plano, I don't think will be too worried about what's going on because they've at least got even on the next half. And, well, that's what we expect from Ascent. But you're going to want to take as much from this as possible.
Yeah, I think Plano want an advantage coming out here, really. This map is Hebron's pick, so you know, you're not always going to be favoring them the most in it, but picking into a map like Ascent, where we already said before, it's default in every single aspect that you could say. Like, this map is a vanilla ice cream personified, a gelato, if you will. So, in terms of what we can expect, like, yeah, you want to be getting at least 7 rounds here, so the job's not done for them yet, and they're only going to have one more buy, and that's the next.
Well, slowly moving up towards 8. Exit again seems to find themselves in situations. It's like a little lost puppy, you know, just continuously like walking into places. I'm like every single time, like, where are you going? Come back. Yeah, you know, because I don't
know if maybe a leash is required on the Hebron side, but Ritzy has managed to find themselves a kill, and this time around Exith is grouped up with the rest of the pack. The Battle Omen finally gets caught between the shoulders of his teammates trying to entry into the site, but they do have it. A lot of utility has been expended to this end, and we've already seen some of the regenerative stuff, the recon and the 0 point come out from Plano's side. How do they look to retake in? The util is there, and the judge tries to follow it up, but Exit at the double.
Yeah, and not only that, Fry's chipped in as well. This round is over, and remember, for Plano, I mean, realistically, it's not the worst due to it being an eco, but it's all about the way in which Hebron had actually won that, and it was pretty convincing.
Yeah, like I said before about the util game, for both of these teams, I think there's not really been too much coordination in how they've been using it up. Like, Hebron, for example, they use all of that utility. It's a means to an end. They take control of the site. You've got the drone coming out. They had basically secured the objective. They knew that Plano weren't playing there. But then into the retake, you see the recon, you see the 0 point both come out, and then the paranoia followed up afterwards. If you're using them together and flashing the recon, the chances that you actually get value out of it is so much higher.
Big pings on towards Bulgugi here. That's going to be an issue, and the biggest issue is the fact you're losing out in Phantom. There goes your Intel, and there goes your Sentinel. 3 versus 4 now. The complete control and retake utility is going to be really tough. At least you've got the smokes and a KO, but I mean, Hazza, you're going to really be wanting that Intel.
Yeah, Hebron, the favourites coming out of the groups, and if they can find this one here, I favour them to be taking this map as well already. I don't want to jump the gun, but going 6 and 6 from your attacker's half already looking pretty good. Big ping out with 0 capitalization onto the baby. Ritzy just buying all of this time in main. Finally, another kill from DRX in towards the site, getting more work done. Things need to be sped up here. Exit has to buy time and just shimmies around the box to claim the round. Hebron tie it up 6 to 6.
Big half. I think, well, yeah, I was about to say it was almost like 6 rounds in a row and then another, like, you know what I mean, 6 and then 6, but there is that one kind of exception on the bonus round for Plano. Anyway, point I was going to make here is now we switch sides, we switch the way that people think about the map. The roles are completely different. I wonder how Plano now change things up in terms of how they're going to attack. We've already seen how Hebron have done it, Hazza, and it seems if there is a big stack outside of A.
Yeah, we've seen 2 different ideas presented and how both of these teams want to set up for the pistol round, and this one looks to be a more aggressive mid play. I was making the joke earlier that you have the player with the Korean characters in the server, and I named them after DRX, but this is the standard Vision Strikers push where you get your jet immediately interlinked. They've managed to do it. The turret is up for the contact A, but the oversight is that the dark cover's already there. They'll have the information nevertheless, but we go into post 5v5.
Not many times that you see this, and well, that's exactly why, because all the players are already through. Hebron have came up massive, and there's only one player left. It was Bulgogi, and Bulgogi will be not. I was going to say not nomming on much anymore, and you know it's Bulgogi nom, but that's a bit of a squeeze.
I mean, look, it's always going to be like that with any kind of collegiate or university Valorant, whatever the game may be. In fact, there are always silly names. I mean, I can't see Bulgogi Nom Nom being the one which lights up the arena at Valorant Champions come the end of the year.
Sure?
But I mean, you know, it's all just a bit of fun.
Bulgogi?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, let's put it this way. Sentinels aren't winning anything anyway, so definitely not. But I digress. Looking at it here, this obviously isn't fun and games. This is a competition and they want to win. Hebron already taking the pistol on their own pick and showing exactly why it is their pick. That kind of a setup on a pistol isn't something that you can just pull out of the bag. It's obviously been rehearsed and they get the reward from it.
Okay, well, look towards nice pings there. The pings are going to punish, but it's more towards A that I'm looking here, Hazard. Two players that have got together on towards shot, and I like this positioning from the defensive side, but you're ready to go. You'll have seen this. The dash comes straight through, the punishment as well, and this is what happens when you work together.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nobody there for the refrag onto Kite either. So much damage dealt to Bulgogi, who's finally dropped out in mid, trying to courier the spike towards this A, which is under siege. Phantom does fall in short, and luckily for DRX, they found their way up in towards Heaven, but this is something that Hebron are aware of. They've fought so heavily for short. There is an idea that a player could have crossed, and they will be checking for it. Justic finds it. It's flawless.
Big round. Again, I think there's just I don't want to call it a higher level of understanding of the map, but there certainly seems to be just better ideas across the board from Hebron. The fact that the KO and the KJ is already set up on short with the turret taking contact, they're not split up like sometimes you can find on Collegiate, given those 1 versus 1s. And yeah, Plano just walked straight into almost a pit of death.
You're seeing the two top fragging players in the server right now are the Omen. In fact, actually, if you look across the board, the top fragger in every team's Omen, followed by KO, followed by Jet, and then the Sova and Killjoy, more supportive players, are towards the bottom. I find that to be an interesting trend. Omen, an agent usually known for their assists. You get a lot out of the smokes and the paranoia.
Yes.
I'm going to pull a stat which is a little closer to home. 4 of the top 5 assisting players in EMEA VCT currently are players who have Omen in their agent pool. So something we should expect, but look, if you can put a gun in their hands, perhaps that is a better way to deal with it. And Kite at least has bucked that trend and found the opener.
Oh, it's Miriam on the flank, but here comes Ritzy, and least little spam, I believe that was through Hell. And well, it's Hell or high water here for Hebron to try and get on towards sight. And it's not going to be that. It will be Hell for them. 78. Nice post-plant and all from Plano. There's nothing. Again, it was just a straight kind of take of the site as all the players stacked towards B.
Yeah. And coming into this defense now, we see Mania pick up the operator. And I really like this. I don't think it should be too surprising that you see a Jet Op player. I mean, this probably is like the most standard map, standard setup, standard characterization of it. But it's not something that Plano used on their defensive side. So really getting value from it. And look, there you go. That's the first kill. That's your top fragger gone. And yeah, getting the value from it immediately, which is brilliant to see.
And the control of the angles is gone as well, has it. Paranoia, the player's going straight in, there's pings on towards that Omen, and that's why you jet dash through a smoke. But unfortunately, you can't jet dash through an op bullet. The rest of the players come through.
Ooh.
Things got a little bit chaotic, but Hebron somehow fight their way in.
Yeah, it's a weird one, because you have the KO player downed. You're wondering whether there's going to be a tap to stabilize the core there or not. But yeah, nothing comes through. The op is saved, the round is found. That was a last chance force, really, from Plano. If you looked at the weapons they had, maybe a hero rifle for Kite. It does come in the form of a Guardian. This is a player which has actually stepped up quite a lot in the previous few rounds to be finding those entry kills and actually sort of having a better time on the Jet on the attack as opposed to the defense. And I think from the fact that they weren't using an operator, that probably leans quite heavily into what the playstyle looks like for this player.
I think that intel dart is going to land in next map, but wait for that one to drop. Man, he is just playing with the devil! Or maybe the other devil finds the top fragger once again, or the player equal on top frags for the Plano. A pick up, and already the player's looking to go elsewhere due to what is lying in wait on A.
It's an incredibly bulky stack. 4 players plus the Killjoy utility, and all you have as a respite is the solo Sova playing Boathouse on B with the alarm bot pinning down mid.
Oh, they've baited for KO.
Yeah, they are just trying to bait here. Mania's found another one, and now we finally see that decision to come in towards B. The alarm bot, unfortunately for them, comes online just as the suppression tails out. Now Ritzy has a lot to do, but not much at the same time. 2 players with pistols, rifle in hand. There's the first, and that should be the second. But the baby should at least get the spike planted.
5 HP. If they're able to clutch this one up, has it? I said I was going to say something along the lines of like I'd buy you a steak dinner or something, but it won't be much of a dinner tonight as Hebron look to hit double digits.
I mean, look, there could be a winner-winner chicken dinner. In fact, there definitely will be. One of these teams walking away with it. Not a steak or anything of that kind. I mean, this map is styled after Venice.
Yeah. I was going to say
steak and chips is the more French of the.
What way? Like, how do you get your steak cooked?
We really going on to the food talk.
I know. Listen. It's been like months.
Look, this is true. This is true.
Indulge me for a second.
Notoriously known. I'm just like a medium rare kind of guy. Like really run of the mill, nothing crazy. Yeah. Like I wouldn't trust anyone unless it was Gordon Ramsay to actually do a raw steak or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Respect for that one. Respect for that one. And respect for the opening kill, by the way. That's the KG gone, so flank control will be off the board for Plano in this round.
Oh, but then they're just heading straight into this A. No clearing yet to be done. All of the Killjoy util just waiting with this pairing of the KO and Churstick. Just waiting on the other side of the dark cover as they have done. Flash for contact, turret through. Molly there. It should be a battering ram in the face of the attackers, but in fact it just doesn't pan out. Ritzy forced to clean things up and will do so. Final player of DRX is towards Gen, but the paranoia will simply supplement. And they find themselves dropped by the shorty. Hebron up 11-7 on their own pick.
Anyway, that flashpoint was gorgeous. I just have to appreciate that. It just seemed to come out at the perfect time. And unfortunately, it seems as if it was the perfect time for Hebron, kicking on forward even more so. Plano at least have their buy for this round and a few ultimates to work with. But, I mean, we've seen the hesitancy to use these ults before.
Yes. We definitely have. They'll have hit the top of the loss bonus right now, so you do expect them to keep buying in, and I think this is one of the rounds where you ideally want to. We haven't seen Plano play into the light buy at all. They have just been going for the full shields, players and specters and the like. Phantom does get a kill with it though, but it's a 1-for-1 trade and the information and the rotate is there.
Oh, the op still up there. Oh, nice swing out, but there's only one player remaining. These rounds going lightning fast. Feel as if we're playing Swift play almost. To be trying to fight their way out, but as they do, they come in towards the stack. That is going to be map point for Hebron here on Ascent. Yeah. And they've been playing pretty well. This is Hebron's pick as well here, Hazard.
Yeah, I mentioned it before. It's Hebron's pick, and the bigger thing to pull away from that is that you're going into Plano's pick of split. And because they chose it, they don't get the side choice. Hebron are going to be starting on the defense, and if they carry on the form which they have, which right now seems to be, 11 of the previous 12 played, that's going to be looking really nasty heading in.
Well, Hazard, I've got a bit of a surprise when we get to split then, if that's what you think the way that things are going to go.
Oh wait, yeah, Hebron have actually selected attack.
Yeah.
They're trolling. They're trolling. No, I don't know. Look, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, already we're seeing exactly what's happening on Ascent. It's more of the same. There's an opportunity here for a flawless round, even if the Hunter's Fury is going to ping off. Doesn't destroy the lockdown, but Bulgogi will at least get rid of Exith, destroy them. A couple of players really low here. A chance to fight back into this one for Plano, but the only thing is, though, is you realistically want to do that together, and they don't. They do it one by one, walk towards I was going to say Hades pit. That's essentially what it is. It is going to be Hebron winning that first map out.
Yeah, I think these teams can offer, while the other one was completely bog standard. I don't expect a repeat of that here. And already, Phantom bringing out the Gecko. I really like this pick. A lot of utility damage, quite a bit of power creep that you can use on the attacking side if you're recycling it well. I'm not too sure how good the flash is here, but there are certain areas where you could probably find decent usage of it. Kite going to be picking in the Rays. I think this is, a much more standard pick as well. Double duelist for the attacking side here of Hebron. They've also got the Sky, they've got the Astra, but then they're also using the Killjoy. So it's like similar in some ways, I guess, to some compositions we've seen before.
Yeah.
But I mean, both of these really are fairly creative.
Yeah. I think creative is a word that I would use. I think, I don't want to, you can see the personalities coming through what maybe agents most of these players are comfortable on. I don't, there's similarities to other comps, like, for instance, the double duelist, or I guess, something close to a kind of loud comp that would be run that is closest to Hebron's here. The only difference being, I think you'd swap the KG for a Viper off the top of my head. Things like that. But certainly, with the fact that you're swapping that second controller for a KG, I guess the dynamics of that comp completely change.
I think this Plano West side is one which will probably be playing quite heavily for retake. When you look at the util that they have, I think the KO pick is probably an answer to the double walls meta or double controller meta at least, being very strong on this map. Hebron not picking into that means that this could play into their hands fairly well. And there is one other point I want to make about this Plano West high school team. And it is that that KO pick, in fact, is the only difference in agent, the difference being a breach usually, to a certain team's split composition who haven't had the best of results here, at least in their early matches. Do you want to have any guess as to what team exactly it is that plays a similar split composition?
Is it our favourite Caster's Sideshows team?
Yes, it is Carmine Core. They play Breach here instead of KO, but it is the same comp. So, lots of retake potential, though, is something we have to speak about. And, well, with a player up, they're already got to be fancying themselves for it. Immediate trade from Ritzy will put that into doubt for the moment.
Our players already, though, looking to congregate on towards A, and you look towards the read from Plano, and so you can see them teetering on the edge of that decision to move all the way over towards A. But the players are already out on site. The spike there as well, and that's a nice paint shells to follow up on already the early damage. Hebron are going to be setting up the post plant early doors here, Hazza, but it's the three players isolated from Plano.
Out comes the mosh pit. This is the util I'm speaking of, flushing a player to the open, and the kill found by Bulgogi. Very nicely coordinated there, and it puts Plano back in a 3 versus 2 situation. Pride using the util up close on the frenzy though, and we'll be getting big value from it. Ritzy as well, and now the baby on a singular point of health will really struggle to win this one, especially when the alarm bot condemns their position. Trying to waltz their way around. You got to get the luckiest of lucky sprays, or at least isolate your fights. That's Fried out the picture. Time is low. You need at least a half stick, and Ritzy will not let it happen. Hebron, they find the pistol.
Yeah, big rounds there as well. I think there was, I don't want to call it luck, but certainly a few things happened in that round that fell in towards the favour of Hebron, like an engagement where the paint shells just manages to clean up. Nice over peeking as well, that they kind of got punished. All in all, Hebron managed to, I guess, recover from that round pretty well.
Yeah, it was sort of like pre-fired the nade or something, right? I think it was just utility in, like an ejection chair out of some kind of secret agent's car or something. I don't know. It was quite funny. But, Plano not making the most of the advantages that they had there as well. When they find the first pick, it gets traded out. There wasn't that extra support on ramp. But like you've already noticed, they have taken this mid-control proactively behind the Nebula. Now, it's a little bit more Mystery Machine, and so they've split up and searched for clues. But eventually, they do trail along in this sewer, and will activate a very fast flank on towards Hebron, who will most likely get it planted A. You have to say, though, they've done a good job of already clearing this out. I would like to see them take the next step and get some control towards screens.
Oh, Exit has put himself in a really tough spot. There is a crossfire being established by Mania. In fact, by everything, it's going to turn into Mania. There's only 2 players left, and it is going to be 1 now. Bulgogi, nom nom, what can you do? And probably not much. There's 12 HP and only a sheriff in the pocket. Or you go up against things like rifles. I think this is going to be another Hebron conversion.
You could change the lettering, perhaps. Bulgogi, non non. If we are speaking French, like the comp's counterpart, but yeah, not happening for them here. 2 rounds for Hebron. They keep the majority of those weapons as well. Ritzy holding on to the Vandal. It's going to be quite nice, a fairly healthy round actually, that they get to buy in with here. Perhaps like to see a little more selflessly the rifle drop to Mania. Give them more options or a higher caliber of firepower onto that entry, being the Jet, of course. The initiation from Fried has been pretty good so far. And they've gone back to this defaulty round again, so playing things a little slower.
Oh, already an agent suppressed outside A. That might be the lurker, and it is just going to be a jump spot, but it's the mid spot. And where Mania just dashed all the way up in towards ropes, picked up a judge and upgrade. And now the players scramble as now we see Hebron really push forward and doing the work. Only 2-1 player manages to gain control, wrestle control of ramp, but it's Phantom from behind. 3 versus 2, and there's still engagements to be had. Isolated as well. And you've still got all of that KG util.
Yeah, it's very quickly turned from a 4v2 into a 2v2. Lots of utility on Ritzy. Has the lockdown. Can choose to invest it here. This engagement coming out of ramp, and whether we see a situation where Mania is able to take anything away with them is going to be integral to how this pans out. And they do! It's at least 1 kill. Churstic, I should say, the Raze player, the opposite end. And now in the 1v1, you have to favour Ritzy, and you will. 3-0. Hebron, they found the pistol on the attacker's side, which already helps you out. The bigger chance that you're going to get to have a foothold in this game, and then convert the bonus to currently be uncontested from this attacking half. They picked into it, and you can actually see why.
It's really, really big stuff, because considering if we see how, like, the attacking side win out the pistol and the anti-eco, usually you sit there and you go, do you know something? Hebron have had a really good start to this half, even if they go on to lose the next 4, you know, because they've at least got half of what they need to do. An aggressive Cypher cam, and well, it's already going to move the Cypher back onto site because they've found every single one of the players. We're seeing the Trailblazer come through, the Sky Dog just starting to stun things out. There's a flying Raze. There's all sorts coming left and right. It's turned into a shooting range between these 2 teams, and Hebron come out the better side of it because of the lesser weaponry of Plano. Spike still to be committed. Only 1 player left to find, and it will be DRX up on Heaven.
Like you put it, a shooting range, and Plano West with their investment are basically paper targets. Hebron go running through, and this brings me to a point I want to make about the composition. It's one which you can use to retake quite effectively when you look at what agents they have. Picking into the KO here as that choice to sort of be disabling those double controllers that you frequently play against on this map, and, you know, not having the stun or anything else to go off can make it a lot more difficult in terms of what stopping power you have to actually prevent Hebron from going for these explosive executes with their double duelist being one of the hallmarks that they have, at least in their team. As well as that, you know, the setups have to be a little more crafted. You have a Raze, you have an Astra. There are different ways that you can combine this. It just requires more thinking than we're currently seeing.
Oh, okay. Kaisa away with 2. Big advantage here for Plano. They're still trying to fight through a smoke of spam, but that's not really to be advised, and DaBaby's gifted one. That is going to be big for Hebron. They can somehow reset and think about what they want to do, but there is this flank. This is another isolation that we're going to see. DRX, you need to at least get 1 here, mate, and you don't. That's it. You can run B or even just run on to site. Big frags here, and...
Speechless is the way to put it, Cairo. I think I'm seeing that you're lost for words there. At least that's my deduction of it. I'm trying to deduce what I can right now from what's happening with Plano. Oh.
I was just going to say, the guy that flanked you from mid or B is dead.
Oh,
Where are you going? I'm joking. I'm not going to go.
No, I don't think it's not even a case of that though, right? No. Because you're looking at, just like it's very simple duels.
Yeah,
Hebron having this crazy level of awareness, and I think on round 3, when they were gifted the site and sort of, nice shot from Bulgogi, but as I was saying, when they were gifted the site and you see them just fully clear it out in a meticulous fashion, not immediately go for the plant and actually make sure that they had all the positions in their control. Even the micro here of taking that Vandal away from a potential Plano player is just the details, and that's the difference right now, I think.
Yeah. So only that though, you've also got to think about, like, for instance, just the not even micro. I don't know if it's macro either, but the Astra flanking on that last round. I mean, you really are putting a lot of, I guess, importance on yourself to come away with one or whatnot, and the fact that you don't, I mean, essentially costs a round.
I mean, Hebron can be thinking about this quite a lot anyway, with the amount of times that you've seen. Plano in their retake come through ramp and have players loop back around, so even before the spike goes down there is somewhat of an expectation. Utility coming through, and Plano playing for this retake. The Dizzy will now be lost. Difficult to reclaim it from this position. We're not in post just yet. Hebron have util that they can work with, but so do Plano. Lots of ultimates on the board. Let's see if they get used.
I mean, it's the question mark of using that Dizzy so early. Here comes the Thrash all the way through towards the back, but the engagements again, the fact that there's lesser weaponry on the board just favours Hebron, and that means there's ultimates wasted, util wasted, and everything seems wasted at this point. This is all up to Bulgogi on just a Marshall. There's been a few nice shots from them, but again, I don't want to ask too much of them.
I mean, ask what you like. That is it, plain and simple. Not happening. Hebron, 6-0 on their attacking side here already. That's the half, at the very least, level. But I cannot see it going a similar way. If you quickly jog your memory back to what Ascent looked like starting out, it was a 5-1 for Plano, right? They came in, found the first couple of rounds. There was the bonus that they weren't quite able to pick up, and then a couple more. Hebron then finally reset and found the remaining 6 on the half, the remaining 5 to bring them up to 6. It doesn't even feel right now like that's something that Plano West are capable of, simply because of how these rounds are panning out. Like, at this point in time, Astra is on rails. I just don't know how they do it.
It's not even that though, Hazza. It's also things like when the execute comes through, the Dizzy's used up, and it's an isolated thing, right? But it's also the fact that, like, it's just a waste. And Mania right here has drawn all of the players over with one Cosmic Divide and one dash. The wingman somehow finds him, but I mean, have they realised they have? And they've realised that this is a fake, but it gives so much importance towards Mania in this position.
Mania's heard the footsteps from main, but can just activate this into a standard flank. The retake has to be quick from Plano. You have so much to work with. The null command is there, showstopper even if you want to send them flying out, but absolutely nothing used. And look how far away your Astra is from the retake right now. You don't even want to do it because you don't have 5 players. I mean, the same case can be said for Hebron, but by the time push comes to shove, Mania will be in position to deal with this. It's an open plant, for goodness sake. They have the Phantom in their hand, and while the kills currently may be going Plano's way, it's not going to matter for long because it's a clean sweep. 7-0. Hebron continue onwards.
Yeah, and this party train cannot be stopped at this point, Hazza. I mean, Hebron already. This is the grand finals, not the grand finals, but it's the finals for the South. And they seem absolutely unchallenged. Ritzy's yet to be put towards the spawn yet. 10-0. It's massive stuff, and not only that, I mean, I imagine the lockdown could be put down in this round.
It's just, all that requires from Plano is a little bit more pace, and then that rotate from DRX to be a little bit better. Because, like, you have the null command, it looked to be working, and as soon as Mania shows up, that's it. It's over. And perhaps, as long as X keeps shooting the way they are, then this is the game done. And these are individual fights being taken as well. You've pushed mid with 3 players, and it's solo fights being taken one after the other. I just don't get it. not trying to read into this too much, but Plano aren't exactly helping themselves with the situations they have. Bulgogi, you feel sorry for them almost with the amount of work they've been doing on the Cypher, but from that agent, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be enough.
And look at this. Is this a safe call? Is that what it's looking towards? Because the timer is just ticking away.
I mean, 2v3, you have the guns. The
Yeah,
Bucky,
exactly.
maybe not favourable for Kite. They'll be the one looking for an exit, I suppose. And yeah, it is the save angle.
I mean, it's respectable in the sense, but the only thing is, though, is you're 8-0 or down after this, not to save. And
They AFK?
I think so. Unless they're waiting to
Kite
go.
might have just gone AFK on holding for exits there. Hopefully this isn't some more of the tech issues that we had before rearing their heads, and we do get that even matchup, at least in terms of all of the players with bums on seats and faces in the screens. But the lack of movement in Spawn makes me feel as if perhaps that is the case.
Oh, this is a nice spot.
That's unfortunate. That is really unfortunate. Not something you want to see when you're in this final. Yeah, we are going to see the pause timer come through, Hazard, but we have 8 rounds to break down, and you know what? I guess that's where we start.
Mm-hmm. Well, you want to start from round 1? Well,
Start
we've
from
got
round
8.
one.
We've
Maybe
set
not
the
the
pause
pistol.
timer on 8 seconds. We've got 8 rounds. Begin.
Maybe not starting a pistol, but I think there's a lot of rifle rounds that we can break
Yeah.
down. For instance, I guess we've been. Hebron have just had that step above in terms of map knowledge, for instance, clearing out all of the site and also just contacting up, not giving much away to their opponents. Things, again, like isolated, I guess, events where Plano, we can see that there is that less awareness, like using up utility when it didn't need to be used. I think that's just where we're seeing the class above, but nice stop here as Phantom picks up Mania.
Yeah, it's a nice early pick, but it's fundamentals, right, that we've got to be looking at here. And already Hebron are looking to scale off the back of some early positioning that Exalt has been able to create for them. They are just heading straight into this Cypher setup, which could be dangerous, but you know the trip has already gone, the camera's been broken. Plano need to play for this retake, but they need numbers! They don't need the baby to be fighting that by themselves. Churstic, oh so happy to capitalise from it, and we're straight back to that 4 versus 4.
Now, in the 4 versus 4, you somewhat favour the attackers because they're defending, they're holding the angles, and the angles can be so close. Here comes the party popper, the showstopper, and it seems as if the show just goes on for Plano. The wingman tries to get on the defuse, but it's down in towards a 2 versus 3. Make it 2 versus 1. It's all up to the Astra player, but it falls towards Hebron and has it. Again, this train can't be stopped, even though there's advantages being taken for Plano.
Yeah, DRX not quite able to channel their inner Mako there in the clutch, or in fact, this game so far, I think it's fair to say, despite... I mean, this is a crazy one, right? You had both controller players top fragging the previous map, and now you see that difference in quality in terms of agent pool here a little bit, I think, or at least performance on this map. Finally, the timeout is called, but I'm starting to feel like this might be too little too late for Plano in terms of adjusting what exactly it has been going on. I think if they were to have lost sort of 4 or 5 rounds in a row, that is the time to be calling the timeout, not when you're 9 down, because you've already, in some ways, had that watershed moment in terms of a baseline level of success the attacking side wants to be picking up. And it goes back to those points that we were making before. You know, the tech pause didn't last as long, so we didn't get a chance to speak about it. But for the remainder of these 20 seconds, it was those fundamentals we were speaking about, and then also this retake setup. And you see it perfectly on that round. They get a really nice first initial kill there from Plano. They isolate a player in mid. It's Phantom that picks it up. And then you go into the retake with numbers just for Debebe to throw it into the fire immediately by taking a solo engagement and not actually working with what it is that you had set up, what this comp is playing for, and your margins of success that just simply aren't being taken up.
but it's not. I mean, obviously we're kind of pinpointing to Baby on that last round, but it's those things that happen like that all over the map.
Exactly.
Where it's not just one player we were pointing out. Like there is plenty more. The showstopper comes through, nice damage through here, and this is a big neural theft because they're going to know that it is going to be a B execute as all the players begin to run over there. It's all about how quickly Hebron can get set up now.
Yeah. Hebron can bring this to post. You have 3 players there for an immediate challenge. You can set up for this retake almost immediately. You have 2 players coming in from the flank, the Thrash coming out, Fried finding a kill on the back end though, and this is the worrying part. Do Hebron expect a second player, however? I'm not too sure.
Oh no, there's engagements being found left, right and centre. The players don't know where to look. They'll know where to look now as Kite finds 3. Oh my god, that's 4. This is a chance. Plano, you need to get on the board here, come on. As Kite comes through with a nice satchel peek, they're stuck in a gravity well, not knowing where to look. Xeth, it's the final boss, the raid boss perhaps, and oh, they've just shown themselves. Spike's already halved. This is now in towards Plano's favour. If they can get it off, they can. As Xeth comes through and hits 10.
Exactly why they are so feared in the server right now. Brilliantly played, and that's what I was speaking about. I think earlier I was probably being a bit harsh on DRX, saying that they didn't have the same kind of mechanical depth as exist there, but the timing on that gravity well is so nice to just deny them from getting that quick, fast clear out with the blast pack. The bigger thing for me, though, is the reaction that you see from Hebron there as the flank comes through to then be a little more aggressive, take some extra space behind the back of Pillar, and just fight the bulk of the retake. It leaves Kite up to do everything themselves, and I mean, what an effort. Just falls short of the mark, however.
Well, Roby hasn't fell short of the mark straight away, but does so in the second engagement. It's back to a 4 versus 4 hazard. That's your Cypher loss, so this can just be a straight push. Okay, that's nice trade. That's team play. That's beautiful.
Very nicely done. Finally, we see Plano come together and find their first. Fortunately, there's only 1 round left on the half.
Yes.
So they're going to want to double up here if we are to even remotely believe that this could be some kind of a Thursday night miracle that wins them the South Division playoff. On that round specifically, I was just worried for a moment because Bulgogi gets the first pick, and then that makes it 3 rounds in a row that Plano West have had the entry kill, at least from the defender's side, the immediate shutdown, and it's sort of... Then they overstayed the welcome. I think Bulgogi was trying to be the hero there, and this is something we've seen a few times. Like Plano West players trying to be the hero, trying to get, you know, more kills than they're worth, and not playing their numbers, which is, you know, exactly what wins them the round in the end.
Yeah, it reminds me of a famous Scottish parable about wanting to be a hero. And a 4 versus 3, who's going to be the hero for Hebron? They need someone. Spike, certainly not going to be close, and it's not the same situation again, Hazard. It looks like it is, but this time, instead of the Spike making its way towards A, it's coming back to B, and Fried set up to play. Spoiler.
What is the I'm not sure what the information is that Plano have to just rotate back into spawn. It's given all of this room, which Fried has bought a brilliant timing off of. Kite will refrag it. The lockdown continues this, however. Ritzy hearing the steps, playing off the back of it, getting in position. They will not expect this at all. And then a Cosmic Divide for a quick escape. We're back to a 2v2.
This is it. And players pop out of the Cosmic Divide. They have the information. They have the sound now, but they don't know about Ritzy. This is the biggest information here, and pops up at the perfect time. And you know what, Hazard? That's the most heartbreaking round for me, as the half moves in towards the next one, 11-1. Hebron at the advantage move into the better of the two sides on split. And not only that, if they win the pistol and anti-eco, that is this final done.
Yeah, and it's already feeling sort of half done. A foregone conclusion in many senses of the phrase. And I mean, you even look at it there. That Cosmic coming out from DRX, I think that's the first time that we saw them use it on the half. You know what I mean?
No,
like, or at least, you know, like one of the first times that we've seen it actually come out.
And an execute, yeah.
Yeah, not to... No. I mean, from the defensive side in the retake. Do you know what I mean? Right?
Sorry,
Because, because we see them both get used. They're intersecting in heaven, but more than anything, it's just Plano, Hebron playing off these tiny little timings, like using the footsteps, knowing exactly where you can gain as much as possible on that percentage play, taking space away when it's gifted to you, and really extrapolating that.
Oh, look at Plano. Look at the space that they've taken up towards the heaven. I mean, that's been completely gifted. No one's engaging in towards this main spot either. This crunch could be dangerous, but as I speak too soon, has it.
The turret already found it out, and you have more layers of utility here to work with. Fried playing in front of it. The nano should be enough to take them out, but Ritzy's already done it. Kite, the final remaining player, the one who was in heaven, and is going to have to almost loop back around to it if they want to grab the spike. Not going! Okay, a couple bursts, but can't help but feel it's any more than a flash in the pan. Cherstick will be queuing up with Mania to see that one out. 12-1. And Hebron already sit on the precipice of walking away with this one in a very dominant fashion. And to reiterate, this is Plano West's map pick.
I think the harshest thing about this as well, has it, is the fact that there wasn't even a spike plant, so those extra creds that were needed for this round aren't going to be there. Hebron now are going to be firmly in the advantage when it comes to these weapons.
Yeah, I mean, this is just ridiculous. You can pick apart all of the things that have gone wrong for Plano West, but you have to give so much credit to Hebron, to how they've approached this so systematically. And even now, you're seeing exactly what it is that they've got here. Gravity wells and the like, and it's just more of the same from Plano West. They funnel into the crosshairs, Cherstick only finding one, but Exit following up where they left off. Such a brilliant series from this player, and it puts them for now in this 3 versus 2.
It's in a isolated fight, just gives a chance towards Plano, but they've decided to actually stay for the engagement. I guess there's information in terms of that Cypher cage, and oh no, forgot to pick it up. Gives a chance here, but nice clutch from Kite. It's finally Plano get one for this half, quicker than they did the last one, to get on that board, but a big round to at least keep alive.
Yeah, it's a big anti-eco as well, and I think if we had seen this plan out the exact same way, if we had in fact had Hebron take up that mantle of the defensive side as we somewhat expected them to initially here on Split, then that's a seriously worrying one. But right now they have all of the headroom in the world to work with. 10 championship points in front of them, and Plano West, a little indecisive, have shown up late to the A, but still early by the round standards.
Extremely early. Ritzy, though, getting curious. Going for investigation, has seen the shoulder. At least I'm going to be able to get away with the fact that that star was retrieved. No, actually it was a Nebula committed towards that. And already Hebron have committed to try and going for this quick retake. Mania gets one, but Kite's come through with 3. Big rounds for Plano and Exit. They're going to be so far away for this round.
Yeah, you had the fast retake come through, but with that trip now being detected outside of B, you know that this one's going to be a lot slower for Hebron. Plano have a small amount of time to just buy themselves a stabilization period, make their way out of this, but this one's already been, fairly difficult for them. Anything else that Hebron find here is going to be a nice consolation coming into the next.
Last player standing.
Yeah, but we'll go getting on towards Exit. And frying themselves. Big round here. And now, I guess it is. I hate to focus on the negatives, Hazza, but the problem is here for Plano is that they are going to have a little bit of lesser weaponry coming out of that last round.
Yeah, and they have to win every single round from here on out. So if DRX does actually stick with the Spectre with 2,950 credits in pocket, I don't like bashing on teams, but that is just like
silly
basics. It's literally the basics, and yeah, they're gonna keep the Spectre. on the final round that could be played. So sure, you know, let them cook, whatever, right? They are in fact not cooking, but sure. I think even on the previous round, something I wanted to mention, as we've doubled up the wingman and the boombot there, is that Hebron, even when you see that fight being taken by Ritzy on A, as soon as they see a shoulder, they're not looking to take the fight. They're just disengaging and then playing for this retake together, which is, I think, exactly what Plano wanted on the previous half. The setups as well. Look at the utility.
It's gorgeous. And as the players continues to move through, there is that neural theft invested, but a couple of 1 versus 1s and they're punished. Ritzy now solo. Starting to get worried here for Hebron as they are making mistakes. And into 1 versus 4, Ritzy goes.
Yeah, we said before how they were smart to shy away from a fight, and maybe you would here, but that is top draw from Ritzy. The first of 4 kills to find if they want to deny Plano their 4th and walk away with it here. It was already, you know, isolated a couple of these duels. Knew exactly where it was. The peak would be coming in from DRX. The baby, the one who finds it and does finish off what was looking to be an impossible job anyway, but the door slightly ajar. Hebron now forced back into another eco, and this cycle will simply repeat until they're able to walk away with the map. But Plano offering a little bit better there, and I like the aggression to just ball up the utility and head straight for the mid play.
I guess as we start to slowly move in towards our first ultimate cycle, we've seen a couple of them use, that being the showstopper and the neural theft hazard, but the bigger boys are coming out to play. I'm looking towards that lockdown and the cosmic divide that Hebron actually have. Nice information from that tripwire, but wait, is the call to go towards A?
It could be. I mean, yet again, they're trying to work off the back of this mid. You have Churstick with the buddy up close. Set up here with the Nebula perhaps leads them to believe that, you know, this would become some kind of set play with the util. Exith finds one on the Sheriff, looking for a little more, can't do it. Kite dropped onto low HP. Ritzy's found another. It's a 3 versus 3, and this is your duelist looking very low. Weapons to be picked up and a moment in which to do it. Doesn't have the spike, but you know, look at the utility that is available for the Sky player here. You got Seekers, should have both flashes, Trailblazer and the Overgrowth.
Yeah, it's also, I think the biggest one being that Overgrowth. I mean, you could deny all that utility, but the baby's ultimate will fall out, and if they go to take this CT spot, this plant isn't Spike isn't planted for them. Oh,
yeah, and this is what the Seekers is going to do for you from this position. I love the double up, but it might not even be enough. Churstick has found one, and it's a 1v1. They're able with some utility of their own, flashing out, and then peeking out, flicking to Fried, and finding the kill. Over the line, just about, and that's all that matters for Plano West. Yeah, Hebron came in with pots and pans, but most importantly, they keep themselves in the series.
Whether they limp or sprint over the line, Plano West will not care. It's all about getting to that next stage. Whether they have to go for surgery, which I think at this point, this timeout might help them in the way that things are going.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a necessity at this point in time, or at least one which is going to kill the momentum of Plano. Let them reconsider some of the issues that they've been having on this defense. Because if you look at it, well, you found the pistol round, and then that immediate response from Plano means that they've been shut out ever since. And they really just need to rectify some of these problems. In terms of what they actually are, it's difficult to pinpoint because you're seeing some levels of success on these eco rounds, right? Where they're grouping up and fighting together, trying to take space. I think it's similar to where Plano didn't do so well sometimes, though, where you don't have those util combos that you should really be making the most of here. Your Killjoy can do a lot of the heavy lifting on the anchoring side, and then you've got like gravity wells, paint shells, and the like that you can just dump into certain areas, and we're not really seeing the full version of that just yet.
Okay, moving in towards this round, though, Hazard. It's a matter of what goes on. It seems as if it's going to be a little bit of an isolated push on towards A. Retake's going to be available here for I guess with all the utility in terms of ultimates, etc., wingman support on a solo raise, and there has been nothing in terms of budging on that A site.
You do have the spike there, however, on B, hovered at this point in time. Not sure if it wants to join them or not and actually like scale off the back of the space that you have, and yeah, that's going to be the option. So in some ways this is worrying for Plano, because Hebron are already prepared for this. They found the initial kill. You've lost Phantom, who's used up all of their utility at this point in time anyway. And if it was that B hit, you've got the Jet, which can disengage so quickly, just jump spotting. So a variety of options they have to work with. I think taking Heaven control will be the start of anything they find here, though.
Okay, big information from the guiding light as well, as the players look to take through Heaven. I mean, realistically, just go through CT and go to B. But the thing is, no time's so low, they're going to be forced into a really awkward situation where they're going to have to bust out of Heaven or bust through CT, spikes down, and Plano might have just given up the full shebang, the full map, the full finals. Bulgogi tries to engage back in. It seems like it's all going to be done, and it is in flawless fashion, as that map almost seems flawless.
Yeah. I think if we're being real, that map was over after the sort of first 7 rounds, but then it sort of becomes a bit more of a laboured affair in the end. Fully congratulations to Hebron High School for winning out the Southern Finals, and commiserations to Plano West. I mean, they looked pretty good on the first map. It was their pick, or it wasn't their pick, sorry, I should say. It was a bronze pick. So, you know, Ascent always one which teams are going to go into feeling comfortable for, but then it's the last round where we start to see that indecisiveness come back, where we thought that improvements had been made. The timeout delivering a lot of value, I think, at least in just adjusting what the setup looked like for Hebron. And it's those adaptations, those little reads and sort of looks into the nuances of the game and really understanding it at a macro level, which I think, you know, thoroughly benefited them here in their pursuit of the title, which they have now claimed.
Yeah, as they have claimed the title of the South. But Hazza, there is still much more to be going on this week in terms of playoffs. As I've already mentioned, this is just the South. We've had the West, we've got East and North, and I'm sure everybody wants to be watching that, so make sure you hit that little purple heart down below to be following the channel. I'll leave you with any closing statements, and then we can be finished for tonight.
Yeah, no more closing statements from me. Like I said before, I feel as if I'd been a little harsh on Plano West. They did a fantastic job to make it this far.
Yes.
We saw some great individual plays. Unfortunately, that's not always enough to just bail you out. It's a team environment after all. And I think if they can get that down, then they are in with a chance of bringing us another brilliant campaign to overturn this result and get their revenge on Hebron, who came in as favourites and walk away as victors, perhaps as we expected. But once again, congratulations to them.
Yeah, 100%. Congratulations, guys. That is us done for tonight. Thank you to GZ Wells and our observer, Caroline, for tonight. We will be back tomorrow, actually, for some more HSEL playoffs action. We'll see you then. That's all. Good night.